If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
In this massive episode of Mind Pump, for the first hour, we do our introductory conversation.
Yeah,
Guess
an hour
who got a new car?
Oh, yeah.
That's right. This guy did.
Let's race.
Then we talked about Justin's house in the woods. That sounds like a scary movie.
It totally does.
We talked about spiders
I'll kill you.
and why we don't like them. Kids and delayed gratification. We do some coaching there. I mentioned the new weed drink by Lagunitas. They're the beer makers. Now they make a weed
sounds
drink.
delicious.
The changing cannabis market. The importance of staying active throughout the day. Justin's dad's reluctant use of Organifi juice. I'm glad he
But now he conceded.
I'm glad he likes it.
Yes.
We are sponsored by Organifi. If you go to Organifi.com/mindpump and enter the code mindpump, you'll get 20% off. Then we talked about my son's training update. He's been working out and having a lot of fun. And we mentioned the new Juve Light and how Juve Lights increase testosterone levels. There's lots of other health benefits. We also work with Juve Light. If you go to Juve, JOOVV.com/mindpump, you will get a free MAPS Prime program if you buy anything over $500, and you'll get free shipping.
Hooked up.
Good stuff. And then we gave our 6-week contest update. Then we get into the questions. The first question was, could someone who does a lot of NEAT get the metabolic adaptations where your metabolism slows down like someone who does lots of cardio? Great question. We dive into that one pretty deep. Next question was, are there different skill sets for online training versus in-person training? So if you're a trainer and you're contemplating, should I train people online or should I do it in person? What's the difference? We break that down for you in this part of this episode. The next question was, what are our thoughts on YouTube fitness brands that push intermittent fasting? They use KinoBody as an example. So we go on his YouTube page and we break it down a little bit.
You're doing it wrong, bro.
And finally, this individual's been doing CrossFit for 7 years, can't get any leaner. What the hell's going on? Has their body adapted? Is it time to take a break and do something different? We give them advice in that part of this episode.
Take a break.
Also, one more time, I'd like to mention, there's only 3 days left. 3, 1, 2, 3, for 50% off MAPS Performance. We will not be running this promotion again for a long time. If you go to mindpumpmedia.com, enter the code GREEN50, GREEN 50, you'll get 50% off. We also have MAPS bundles on that site. Bundles are where we combine multiple MAPS programs for specific goals, like our Super Bundle, which is a year of exercise programming all planned out for you. So you can find all the bundles and the 50% off MAPS Performance with the code GREEN50 at mindpumpmedia.com.
T-shirt time!
And it's T-shirt time.
Oh,
Here it comes. Here it comes. Do we do better, Doug?
49 reviews.
How many?
49.
Did you call for it?
Yeah, I did. I just told people how to do it.
I think there's some backed up.
Some pent up demand.
There was a little constipation going on.
That's a record, I
it
think.
was clogged.
Close to it. We may have had one more day where we had more, but 49 is pretty good.
Wow.
So we're giving out 13 shirts, and the winners are C. Louise 4, Jess Morse, Daryl 2, Heath Fulmer, JP Dog 87, Jay Creasy, Stave 777, Fit Fad Foodie, Fierce Phoenix, Shannon Maggie, Rogue Alias, AD Starkick 90, and Lifelong Fan. All of you are winners. Send a name I just read to iTunes at mindpumpmedia.com. Send your shirt size, your shipping address, and we'll get that right out to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
I cannot believe how many people are going crazy over MAPS Performance.
Ha. Yeah. Yes.
Crazy.
It excites me.
You know why? Because it's always that program that was always kind of the most, what's the word? Maybe a little bit of
Comprehensive.
Comprehensive and a little bit of mystery. Because it's not like, like MAPS Anabolic. It's pretty straightforward aesthetic, bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Performance, people are like, well, what's going to... But with this 50% off thing that we're doing.
Yeah, people love it.
A ridiculous amount of people. I'm surprised how many units.
Well, it's just
are
a
going
fresh, change of pace. Too,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I think people doing different movements that are challenging, but it makes it fun because it's different.
Well, that's what I'm getting. I'm getting messages from people who already are owners who are getting their spouses and whatever to get the program themselves because they like it so much.
Yeah.
So very surprising. And I think, Doug, when does this episode? This is going up tomorrow.
Yes.
So there's how many days left for the promo?
3 days left.
Okay, so if you're listening to this the day it drops, there's 3 days left for the 50% off.
And then
Yeah,
gone.
with the code
For the rest of your life.
It's gone.
code green50 GREEN and the number 50. I got to keep saying that because I get DMs from people who are spelling out the word 50.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, someone actually sent me a coupon code and it was green.
Damn it.
It was green 50.
Green Fitty, man. I tried it. It was Green Fitty. What's up?
That's the special menu. That's the special Mind Pump menu that comes out. Yeah.
We gave you the homie hookup on that one.
Dude, I'm a little bummed, man.
Why are you bummed?
I'm kind of bummed right now. I can't tease you about your car anymore.
Oh, you're talking about
Those
No
days are over.
No more Jetta jabs, dude. No more Jetta jabs.
Yeah, I know.
I was a little bummed about that.
You know,
I mean, excited for you. You got yourself a nice new whip,
Yeah.
but I was like, fuck.
We didn't do any of those cool pics next to the rims,
to the old one.
Yeah, we
To the-
should have.
to the jetter.
Just to set her off,
Yeah,
We didn't. I wanted to do that video. We never did it.
Yeah.
Fuck.
wasted
okay.
it, dude.
It's
You
okay.
wasted it. It is nice to be in a nicer car. I definitely appreciate
You
it.
feel like a
them.
boss? You got a little lean going on?
Yeah, man.
Huh?
You got a little lean going on when
No,
you're there?
man.
Driving
Not a little-
fast these days.
Not a
huh?
little lean?
I don't care about that, dude.
Nothing? Nothing?
No, but you know it's
You piping fools when you go by?
Yeah.
Huh? You bumping?
What? What the hell's that? Oh, you know what piping people what I used to say that means?
I don't know.
Like having sex with
Sounds
someone.
aggressive, yeah.
That's
like-
laying pipe.
Yeah, exactly.
That's laying pipe.
Like, damn, bro. Hey, that new car making you pipe
gonna
fools or
pipe
what?
you,
Yeah,
son.
exactly. My kids like it. They're in the back and they're having a good time. My daughter's like, go fast. So it's got this feature where I can change the transmission and there's like a screen in the front and it shows sport mode or economy mode or standard.
Yeah.
Which, what it does is it changes the way that the gear shift and all that.
Yeah,
It does make a difference.
Well, it just shows, it's automatic, right?
Yeah.
So it manipulates where the RPMs where you shift at.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But for a kid, when you're in the back of the car and on the screen,
It's a sport.
yeah, and they think it's
Dad's going into light speed.
oh shit, you put it in sport mode. You know what I'm saying?
Sport mode.
My kids are-
my hair's blowing off.
My daughter's freaking out. She's like, "What? It has a sport mode? Like if it's like a?" And I remember when I was a kid, my dad owned a Dodge Colt. Okay, it was like a little shitty.
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to say, that's not like
no.
a supercar.
But it was stick shift because that's how all the cars were back then, right? It was stick shift. But then there was this other stick next to the stick shift, and if you could put it in power or economy. Okay, it actually had this.
Wow.
But when I was a kid, I thought that meant the car was a fast. I'm like, people would tell me like, my dad's car's got a Mustang, it's pretty fast. Be like,
It's like putting into hyperdrive.
yeah, exactly. Like whatever, dude. My dad's got a fucking power mode in his car. If he puts that thing on, you're done.
Yeah, you fucking watch
You're
out.
done. And it ended up being the first car that I drove.
How much do you like that new car smell, dude? That's like one of that and new sneakers, new car smell, favorite smells.
Yeah, you know what though? You know what?
It's like an aphrodisiac.
Do you let your kids bring like food in there?
Fuck no.
Right?
Fuck
oh, you
no.
can't. You
You're
can't
not
do it.
putting
You got to put a hard ban
Yeah,
on
you
that.
don't want French
No
fries
food?
between the seats, dude.
No, not
That's
at all.
Always gets you.
In fact, I
French
almost
fries always get you.
I almost cut the tree down that fucking put the leaves on my car this morning. I was like, you mother, I'll kill you.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, no, but the power mode, bro. You put it in the power mode and then,
You don't feel guilty parking it outside because you're in-home gym?
huh? I have enough room for a car in there.
Oh, so you can still park the car in there?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you had too much equipment in there.
Too much for two cars.
Oh.
Yeah, but you can park.
That's good.
I mean, cars are outside most of the time anyway. It's not that huge of a deal, you know? Yeah.
I don't know.
Why?
I
Bearing the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you it's
Mines are slowly rotting.
it's amazing.
that
Yeah,
one.
it's
Hot
amazing
rod I
when you have a garage and you actually use the garage, right? And you park the car in the garage all the time versus not. 'Cause
I want a garage so bad. I don't have one, but
it makes a big difference.
yeah.
You don't have a garage?
No.
Dude, you live legit in the woods. I saw some of your Insta stories.
Yeah, man. I'm
You're like,
in it.
You're like a cabin.
I didn't
mean,
even-
your house is a house, but it's
Right.
like you're in
well,
the
the
woods.
two adjacent houses are like summer.
How long does it take
cabins.
you to go from your house to see a town like civilization?
2 minutes.
Okay, so you're.
Yeah, he's right up the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when it
That's
rains,
that's the best part.
when it rains hella hard, is it scary?
Yeah, sometimes. Well, if like you have to get your trees, like you got to get them furred up. Otherwise, you're fucked. Like you might get one of the branches will come loose and like literally drive down on. Like this happened to me, and I didn't know. Like a couple of the branches that were like really high, because redwoods are way the fuck up there.
Yeah.
And so you got to get these guys to climb them all the way up and shave them down. And
How often do you hire those guys?
You do it like maybe every other year, something like that, depending on the growth. But 1 year we had one that was this huge limb just drive straight, like vertically down like a lightning bolt, like, and it hit, thankfully, sort of the overhang over the deck. It went pierced right through.
What?
The roof.
So if it would go through your house.
Yeah, it fucking just would kill you. Yeah.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, so you have to get that done.
Yeah, you got to do that. Yeah. What about like?
I
Do
didn't
you have a
even know
lawn?
that happens.
Yeah.
Do you have a lawn?
No, I don't have a lawn, but
Would it even make sense to have a lawn?
No, because there's ivy and there's ferns and it's redwood, tundra
Habitat or
whatever.
whatever.
Yeah, what the fuck
He
you
gets
wanna call
moss on rocks and stuff out
it.
there.
Yeah. I could cultivate it, make a nice landscape
Are
out
there
there.
cougars?
I plan on doing that.
There's cougars up there, right?
Yeah, there's mountain
Have you
lions.
seen them?
So somebody caught one on their security camera. And this is when Courtney was like, she told the story to my parents just the other day when she was coming home late, and like she felt this weird, creepy, like something was watching her kind of vibe. And the chickens were kind of making noise and all that, and she was walking up the stairs, and then she heard a big rustle, and then like took off. And down the street, somebody in their security camera caught like a legit mountain lion just walking through.
That's right. You have the chickens.
Yeah.
Can they get to the chickens?
They could, but they all go in the coop at night, so you'd have to like shred through, the little.
If he really
house.
wanted to, he probably
if he wanted to,
Yeah,
he
easily.
could easily.
Now, what would you do if you heard a mountain lion eating your chickens and it's at night?
So
Would
let it happen.
you wouldn't go out there and just
No, that's
Tackle
they're,
it?
They're prey. What am I gonna do?
it's your food, bro.
I mean, if I had like a gun or something, I'd probably pow, like shoot it in the air. or
Probably in knowing California, you'd probably go to jail for 5 years
Yeah, probably
for shooting
so,
a mountain
yeah.
lion that ate
Eating
your
your
food.
chickens.
That ate your food.
something. Yeah,
You know what I mean? You'd
Yeah.
probably still go to jail if you tried to eat one of your kids.
yeah.
You know
It's
what I
all
mean?
protected.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I got to come visit, dude, because your house is so
You guys
different.
are welcome. Yeah,
It's so different from what I've ever lived in.
oh, totally. It's cool because it's nice to just go in my backyard and just like look up. Like that's my favorite thing to do.
I feel like it would be so recharging.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then to go on a hike, you just go outside your house.
Well, what's fun is because I made that platform that I'm building up from there for the treehouse for the kids. But like me and Courtney, like just had coffee and we were just chilling up there, and it gives a totally another perspective of the forest and everything. And so I just laid down and look up, and we just did that for like 20 minutes. It was awesome.
Bro, I want to check it out. That sounds so interesting.
Yeah.
Do you get big ass spiders?
Fuck yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we get
I'll
some-
forget it.
But I get somebody come by and spray for that.
okay, cool.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I'm not coming anymore.
Yeah, we get the occasional redwood spider that's fucking huge.
What's a redwood spider?
It's hard to describe. They got big butt on them, and they got like big. They're
Like how
nasty
big? Show
looking.
me
It
with
almost
your
looks like a tarantula, right?
Like a mini version of it. It's not as hairy.
Show me how big with your hand.
I mean, like it's basically the palm.
Wow, fuck
sometimes,
that.
like Yeah,
Yeah, they're like little. They look like mini tarantulas, kind of, right?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what. They
hell
look like.
no! How do you kill that thing?
You kill it
With a
You just
with a-
smash it.
with
I
a
usually
weight?
take a shoe. Yeah.
That's the big butt like that.
I had a huge one of those. I think I told this story already, but it was like I thought it was the outlet on the wall because, like, for some reason, like when I was remodeling the house, I was like I didn't put all the covers on the outlets yet, and turns out one of those shadows that was a spider. It was that big, and it was right above Ethan when he was a little baby. It was like right above his head.
Oh,
And then I turned the light on. I was like, because it moved.
I now remember why I don't live in a place like that.
Yeah. Isn't it weird though how those things scare us? Isn't that weird?
Spiders?
Yeah.
I don't think it's so.
Like, do you know anyone that's died from a spider?
Spiders kill people all the time.
No. Do you know anyone who's?
Of course not.
guess
Everybody I know
I know
lives in
somebody
San
got bit
Jose.
by a brown recluse and almost lost their arm,
Yeah.
but other than that,
Bro, in Australia, pretty much every spider will kill you.
yeah.
Yeah. That's not backed by science, by the way.
Very true. I heard they crawl up from like your toilet and like
all of our Australian people are like, get the fuck out of here, guy.
No, you know why? Because every time I see pictures of insect, like every time I see videos of someone with a massive ass spider in their house, it's always in Australia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't like bugs eating spiders either. Like that's one of my point though. It's just kind of weird. It's like, where did that come from? Like, why did it?
So there's a couple theories. So
it's
one,
like in our DNA. Yeah.
part of it's learned. So part of it is that we're grossed out because we're taught to be grossed out by them. And then the other part of it is that we probably evolved to be apprehensive of both spiders and snakes because they were probably they killed us quite a bit.
Venom and
they would kill us quite a bit when we were evolving or whatever, or through mostly human evolution. So now we have this kind of natural inclination to get the skeeves. When you look at it,
it's interesting. Like you know how like we talked a while ago about like that tarantula burger that they had and like people eat like tarantulas. So I guess like the same like shellfish kind of allergy applies to tarantulas.
Oh, so if you have an allergy to shellfish,
like
you can't
like
eat
lobsters and
then you can't eat
shrimp
spiders
and stuff. You can't eat spiders.
Oh, well, forget it then.
Yeah. So such a bummer
because I was thinking about it.
You imagine you go to the doctor, the functional medicine doctor, and he's like, "Well, you've got these digestive issues, and
you got to cut out that tarantula.
You got to cut the spiders out." What?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That sucks.
Yeah.
Anyway, crazy. I had my daughter had hung out with her friend this weekend. Her friend came over and they were just having a blast upstairs. My daughter's 8, right? So they're young. And then when her friend leaves, I go upstairs.
Was it a sleepover?
No, they were just playing. And so then I go upstairs and there's a dry erase board and they had made a game where they would ask a question on the dry erase board and then they both had like a card, and on the card on one hand on one side it would say I have, on the other side it would say I have not. So they would ask a question like, have you ever peed in the pool? Have you ever broke something in the store? Have you ever whatever? And then they'd hold the card up to tell, you know what I'm saying, what's going on. So
it's almost like truth or dare.
Yeah, so they were doing that, and and I was watching she was recording it, and so I watched the video of it, and I'm just like, this is going to evolve. Like she's 8.
Well, this
is what turns into.
That is like a teenager game, bro. That's like that's their version of it right now.
It is like one of the questions
because it's supposed to be like a sexual game, bro. Like you played in high school. I played that in high school.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's going to evolve. Like right now, it's innocent. So and right now it's innocent because you could tell what they're testing each other with. Like, have you ever peed in the pool? And they're both like, oh my god, yes I have. They start laughing. So one of the questions was, God, what was one of the questions? Were absolutely hilarious. One of them was, have you ever told anyone your biggest secret? And so again, my daughter recorded this on her phone, so I was watching the videos on her phone because I'm a good parent that snoops on her kids. So she reads it and she's like, have you ever told anybody your biggest secret? And they both start giggling and laughing, and they're both looking at each other like they want to tell each other the biggest secret. And I'm watching this video, and my heart is like pounding. Like, what am I going to hear my daughter say? Like, she's only 8, whatever. So it's pounding, and I'm like kind of freaking out. And then they didn't say the secret. They looked at each other like, I don't want to tell anyone. And then they went to the next one. So I was like, thank God. God.
Yeah.
I don't want her to be a teenager, bro.
No.
It's around the corner.
I know. Because as I'm watching this, and I'm like,
panic.
Oh my God. And then the other thing, too, is they play these games called Roblox.
Both my kids play that.
Okay, did you know that there's a texting feature on it where you can
connect to other kids?
You can communicate to other kids, and other kids can communicate to you through it.
Yeah. You can block that.
Okay, so
I think I did that.
Okay, good, because I went
playing this game. I don't know.
I don't know the game very well.
Like the third wheel here.
I don't either. Yeah, it's just I'm not even. I
think it's similar to like a Minecraft, except you're not really building anything, and it's like,
well, you can get like characters from Marvel and all these things, and you kind of build these characters up.
Yeah, and you walk around and you can fight people.
Is it a phone app? Is it
phone app?
Phone.
Okay, it's a phone app.
So I'm on her phone and I'm like, what's this? And she gets a little weird about it, which made me panic. I'm like, what's on here that I don't know? What's going on? But I think it's just because she was, her dad's going through her phone. Yeah. So I went on there. And there's all these messages. Now, I know which ones are her friends because she told me which ones were her friends. But then there's all these random people. And I read every single one. But it's all stuff like, hi. And then she'll be like, hi. And then LOL. And that's it. Like stupid shit.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, anybody can contact them
I know.
through that thing.
So what's the standard age that kids get phones now? I mean, if your daughter's 8 and she's already got
She
one?
doesn't have cell service. So only thing she uses the phone for
Or
is to
apps.
record and make videos. And then if we buy her games on it. And if she gets time, so I give my kids 4 hours a week of electronic time during the school year.
Okay.
So she'll use it up and play games and stuff on there. But see, I did not know that this phone app allows other people, and this is a huge universe. Roblox is a huge online universe of kids and God knows who else. And the fact that you can contact people with just whoever you want, that bothers me a little bit. So
Yeah.
I've taken it off, and she's not. I told her she can't.
Yeah, I think you can block that. So
Yeah, but they know how to take it off. I'm going to take it off because
So when do you make the transition from that to like a full blown phone? Like, have you guys thought? I mean, do both your boys have them? Like, what's your?
my son now does.
I'm delaying it as long as possible.
Yeah.
That's like my strategy.
Yeah.
You know, like I know it's going to be essential, and it's something that like every kid is going to have, and he's going to be the guy that's left out, and blah 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 blah. But as far as like, you know, me delaying it, that's sort of my plan.
Yeah.
But
Because
it's inevitable though.
What I did is because my son's 13, he got his when he was 12, and the reason why he got it is because I live a block from the school, so now they walk to the school, and if something happens there, I like him to text me or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's very strict parameters.
But you could do
how to use it.
WhatsApp with that, right?
Yeah,
You could
yeah.
do like for Wi-Fi. I think for Wi-Fi.
But then they have to have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
Then
the only
that's
thing.
a whole nother.
Yeah.
It's such a distraction, man.
It is, and so I said I do 4 hours electronics for the week. When they come home, they have to put their electronics in a particular place, so they can't just have it in their pocket.
Justin, is your system still growing and running? I mean, is that still working? Where the kids?
Yeah, we had a little different system over the summer, and so we're going to go back to, you know, what I was doing before. Over the summer, it was more like a checklist of like items that they did, and like, you know, clean the rooms, like, you know, did their chores, like were active outside, like read for 20 minutes, and, you know, all those types of things. And they did like a checklist and stuff. They hit all of their markers for the day. Like you would get, you know, a reward for that, and you'd get like $1, $5, something like that. So yeah, I've still like monetarily been rewarding them for that, and then we're gonna carry that into like them exchanging it now for like either a goal for like a toy or a goal for like an experience, and sort of in that direction, or for savings. So that was the big one now, is to like, let's see if I can get them to think of how they can save, and then because we have them with savings accounts. And I want to have them watch that.
Now, can you guys tell? Can you both tell, like, between your kids? Because I remember my sister and I growing up, we're 1 year apart, and, you know, one of us was like a saver and the other one was not. Can you tell which kid is going to like blow his money and which kid is going to save his money?
Yeah, so
Yep.
they say that delayed gratification, the ability to do that, is a good predictor of future success. So a kid who tends to save for things, it supposedly it'll predict what, you know, how easy they are going to have an adult life in terms of succeeding and whatnot.
Yeah.
And my son can definitely delay gratification. My daughter is younger. However, she will as well, but she'll delay it for something like a toy or something like that. So, but that's okay, right? That's okay, because that's something she wants, and maybe she doesn't have enough for it yet.
Yeah.
So she'll wait and hold on to it rather than spending the $2 that she has.
Yeah, so that's exactly like my youngest is younger, right? And so he's definitely more the impulsive one, as far as like if I get money in hand, like, let's go to the dollar store. I'm like, we're gonna go to the dollar store and get some cheap ass, you know, plastic toy that's gonna break on you, like. But he gets so excited. I'm like, okay, like, I'm gonna let you go through this process and get some shitty toy,
Yeah.
you know, while your brother's saving and he got like a better toy, and then he gets jealous, and I'm like, hey man, that's the
lesson.
breaks,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know. So he's gonna learn that way.
That's a great lesson. The other thing that I was
is
thinking
cool.
about doing with the kids is give them a goal and say, if you save up to this goal, I'll double it or something like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Just because if it's like concrete and it's like, you know what I mean? Because sometimes they don't know what they're saving for, so why delay gratification?
Right. And then you give them a little more incentive in that direction.
Yeah, so like if you save up to $20, then I'll give you another 20 and I'll double it right away. And then maybe they'll get excited type of deal. But
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Dude, did I send you guys a picture of the cannabis drink that I bought by
I saw Jessica post about it, and I DM'd her and asked her what she thought of it.
Dude, so
No, I didn't see that.
Lagunitas. Do you guys know Lagunitas beer?
Uh-huh.
It's Lagunitas.
So they make like a cannabis beer?
It's not beer, but it's got whatchamacallit, hops in it.
They're just getting in the cannabis space. You're going to see this.
That's what I'm tripping over.
We're going to see this like crazy.
It's a brand name. I've never seen a brand name, anything outside of the cannabis industry step in and then make a cannabis product.
How strong is it?
So the whole can was 5 milligrams, so it's perfect.
Oh, that's perfect.
And they had hops in it. It had hops. It was carbonated, but no calories.
No gluten?
Nothing. No calories, no nothing. So it had a little bit of that taste, but it was effervescent or whatever.
To try that, yeah.
But the cool thing about it, first off, it's Lagunitas, which makes a beer. So I'm like, oh shit, this is a sign of the times. Like, the big players are starting to move in. The second thing that I thought was really cool is the can. So one of the problems with drinks and edibles, and you can tell it's a big company moving into the space because they're smarter. There it is right there, Hi-Fi Hops.
Oh, nice.
Look at that. So one of the cool things is when big companies move into the spot, they have more money and more experience, and they know how to predict what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So when you look at edibles, there's two big problems with edibles that is going to have to get addressed.
Not consistent.
Yeah, consistency is getting better. Now they're starting to label the milligrams. That was a big problem earlier. But there's two big problems I continue to see. One is the fruity flavored candy, type stuff that you would never find alcohol or tobacco or anything else that's in cereals and candies and shit like that. Yeah. That's just a bad mix, right? Because it's easy to attack. If you're a prohibitionist, it's easy to attack that by saying, kids are going to eat it, or why are you giving, putting it in candy and shit like that.
Right.
That's one. And then the other one is the safety of leaving these laying around. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, if I have a drink and I open it, you guys know how a soda can works. Once you open it, that's it, right? You open it and it's open. And if I drink half of it and I put it down, a kid could grab it and drink it and then whatever. So Lagunitas made this can where the top, there's this really interesting like cap or like, what is it called? It's like a pull tab, but it locks in every time. Oh, wow. So I could open it, drink from it, close it, and then kids can't open it or whatever. And you could tell they made it so that they could mass produce it, and it's effective. And I love seeing like that. I love seeing those kind of advancements.
Super innovative, yeah.
Super innovative and really good drink, by the way. It was a nice smooth. Oh yeah, see, it's 5 milligrams of CBD.
And they had a 10 milligram option.
Yeah, so I got the one that's 5 milligrams THC and 5 milligrams CBD because it's more balanced. But
yeah, that is good.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, right?
Oh, we're gonna see
interesting
tons of this, man. That's why it was time to get out, dude. I have buddies.
Saw the fucking writing.
Oh man, I have a lot of buddies that. Yeah, I partly feel bad for. They thought I was crazy when I got away from it because we were all making so much money. And I mean, I saw year over. See, I was crazy. Like when I was doing all this stuff, and it's probably not smart that I did this. That I tracked everything. Like I have logs of all the prices and where it was at this year and then next year, and I would and my expenses, just like you would run a normal business. Like and so many people didn't run it that way. And it was like very obvious to me as the years progressed, that this was going away. And that was before everything went full legal, because I knew everybody kind of said it. Oh, yeah, when it goes full legal, it's going to be tough to make the same kind of money. But it's terrible. I know guys that are farmer buddies of mine that, you used to get for outdoor that's really, really good. You can get anywhere from $1,500 to $1,800 a pound. Was when I was still in it. That was kind of the going rate for really, really good outdoor.
So you think flower prices are going to go way down? Like,
dude, I have guys.
They're already way down.
I have guys right now that are sitting on 100+ pounds that they can't get rid of because no one will offer them more than $500 a pound.
Those used to be $4,000 a pound.
Well, yeah, no. That was not that much. $1,500 to $1,500.
What are they going to do with all of it?
Well,
when you were doing the business, it was $1,500.
For outdoor, and in California, so it state by state it depends, and obviously quality it ranges, but your upper end, good like top shelf outdoor would be $1,500 to $1,800 back then, and that was just a few years ago, 3-4 years ago, where now it's the going rate is like $500 to $600.
Well, think about it this way:
it costs more money to grow the damn thing.
Yeah, think about it this way. Okay, think of all the other quote unquote cash crops that we have. Are there any small tobacco farmers that make a lot of money just growing tobacco,
No.
or small wheat farmers,
right.
or the way you make money at this point now is you make products using it. If you're going to grow it, you need to have a big operation.
It's there. It's already there. I had guys that were making $500,000 a year that all had to go find regular jobs now. And they're like doing the 9-to-5 construction.
I hope they saved and invested that money.
A lot of them didn't, dude. A lot of them didn't.
Easy money.
Yeah, easy in, easy out, right? That's and you can't really do a lot with, especially back when it was gray. When I was, it's like, a lot of that stuff is unreported income because of the fact that it's
so hard to get banks and shit.
Yeah, you can't. Even the club, like the clubs were like legit, right? When we ran the clubs, that was completely legit. But if you're farmer and brokering and you're doing stuff behind closed doors type of deal, that shit, none of that stuff is getting taxed, and so people can't put it in a bank. They can't, so they blow it. You blow it, you spend it, think it'll never end. So yeah, no, it's game over for all the average B players that were doing it for many, many years.
Yeah, you just wait. You just wait until it gets nationally accepted or whatever on a federal level, and then the guys growing tobacco right now have everything in place to switch to cannabis. Marlboro and all these those are going to be the growers. Yeah, because they've already got the operation. They've got everything already in place. They know how to. They've got everything set up. All they need to do is plug in.
So just be like, the market's going to look more like pre-rolls, edibles, these types of things with like drinks.
Edibles, I think, will be attacked, in my opinion. And if you go to all the legal states where they regulate, in some states regulate more than others, you're seeing lots of regulations like you can't have over 5 milligrams, you can't sell it in this type of form. Mm-hmm. For sure, the bureaucrats are going to attack things like gummies like and chocolates content. And
right. You would have the same restrictions like you would alcohol. Only can have so much.
I think edibles are going to be because it's more. A kid could grab it and something could happen. That's going to be their argument.
Or you get like hard THC. Like hard alcohol. Like you get like a real high one that's like restricted in certain areas.
And then the pre-rolls I think are going to be it because think about the average person. I'm talking mainstream. They're not going to want to pipe, shred the. No, who smokes tobacco like that? They're going to want a cigarette. That's got tobacco. That's got weed in it. Yeah. Right. I think that's what the future is going to look like. So.
No, it absolutely is.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Hey, there's this interesting study I want to share with you guys. You know how we've been advising people? There's in a past couple episodes we've been telling people if you work long hours, one of the best things you could do is every hour or so get up and just move for a few minutes and then sit back down. So interesting study came out where they took 3 groups of people. One group, they had them sit straight for 4 hours. Another group, they had them get up every 30 minutes for 2 minutes. And then the other one, they took 2 hours and then get up for 8 minutes. So one group sat down, didn't move. The other group got up every 30 minutes, and the other group got up every 2 hours. The group that sat down for 4 hours straight, which isn't that much. Most people sit down for all day.
Right. Yeah, like 8 hours or
dramatically reduces blood flow to the brain.
Oh wow.
Reduces blood flow to the brain, and that for sure can increase the likelihood of getting neurological disorders like dementia. The group that got up every 30 minutes, every time they got up and moved, the blood flow came back.
Get circulation.
Yeah, and I think a part of it, a lot of it has to do with this. Your blood kind of pools in your lower extremities, and the way you get it out is by flexing and contracting those muscles. And what happens is it squeezes and brings the blood up, and each time you move, it brings the blood up from the lower extremities. So it's important.
You got to think too. The main pump for all that is slowing down also because you're at rest.
That's right.
When you're sitting still at a desk all day, your heart rate starts to slow way down, like you're at complete rest, and just by simply getting up and moving, that starts to elevate, so the blood starts pumping, more oxygen. I've never had a straight desk job, like never done anything like that. But last week, we were doing a bunch of filming and stuff, and Justin was handling a lot of that. And so I was in the office, and I was just writing and putting guides together and stuff. So I was sitting down at the desk for, 6 or 7 hours, and I'd get up every once in a while. Man, after I felt terrible.
I know. Every time I do that, if I stay like sitting down for too long, oh my god, dude, I don't know how people do it.
Well, the crazy it adapts. Yeah. That's the scary part is that you adapt. Is that you feel that we all feel.
I feel the contrast.
Yeah, we feel the contrast because it's so different from a normal day. But somebody who does a normal job like that, their bodies have adapted to it, which is good and bad, right? It's good because it's needed to adapt to get to that, but it's also bad because who knows these other little small side effects that you're not noticing. It's the same thing with the looking at the screen. Like I dramatically can tell it because I do not stare at a computer screen for hours on hours.
It makes me actually feel nauseous.
I get headaches. Yeah. I get headaches, and I feel the same way too. And when I do have to do that because it's so rare, but then you have people like my brother-in-law who was talking to him the other day, and like this is all he does is he goes and troubleshoots and fix problems for like big companies. He makes good money doing this where, or helps somebody upload new software and program it for their computer. Right. I don't even know the job title he does, but he does this, and he does it, and part of why he makes good money is because a big company, something will crash at like a big company at like 10 o'clock at night, and they can call him, and he'll come in and like work through and he comes in, assesses the issue, and he says, okay, that's going to take 30 hours for me to troubleshoot all that and figure that all out. And then, that's how, and then he bids on it, and they go, okay, cool. We just need it done, get done. And then he just grinds, and just all of it's staring at a computer screen.
Yeah. It doesn't feel good.
Fuck, dude. Like, how do you, but he's done that for so long now that he's so adapted to it. You just cannot, it can't
now,
be healthy.
Now, is he in good fit? Is he healthy? Does he take care of himself?
I mean, he's the one who's racing with the Spartan race with Katrina right now. So he's doing things right now to try and get himself back in shape. But I can't imagine that's
it's so less ideal to organize your activity all at once. And what I mean by that is, I work out every day, but it's 1.5 hours, and then the rest of the day.
Well, I've told you guys this study that came out. Fuck, this was a long time ago when I was a trainer. I was like 5-6 years in, and I remember seeing this study, and it blew my mind. I used to share it all the time to clients that used to say they were active, because there used to be a thing on our fits, right, that used to ask, how active are you? Are you, moderate, sedentary, very active, whatever? And everybody thinks they're active or very active. Mm-hmm. And when this study came out, I would tell people like, well, what constitutes very active to you? And they'd be like, well, I go to the gym 3 to 5 days a week. I'm like, well, this study came out showing that even if you do an hour of vigorous lifting, training, or cardiovascular work, you're still considered sedentary because of how the average American, how often the rest of the day
it makes perfect sense. The reason why they think they're active is they're comparing themselves to their peers that don't work out. Right, so you think, oh, I'm active because I exercise 3 to 5 days a week. But think about it this way: not just the majority, but the vast majority of the time that you're awake, you're not active. In fact, not only you not exercising, but you're literally not moving. You're just sitting. Yeah. So there's that 1 hour of even everyday exercise. It doesn't make up for the 14 hours.
This is why I'm Mr. Fitbit guy who's always promoting that. They should fucking sponsor us as much as I fucking talk about them.
They should.
All right. But Enzo, I'm talking to him the other day, and he's like, man, I've been trying to get my steps up, and he's like, oh, it's so hard to get 8,000 to 10,000 steps. I'm like, fuck, you know how crazy that is? And that's him trying. Like, if he wasn't trying, he'd be doing less than that.
3,000 or something like that.
Yeah, that's nothing. That is nothing.
Is that because now he's back in school and he's sort of regimented with that?
It's getting up a little bit, but still not much, because kids sit in school all day long too.
Well, I know.
You walk from one class to the next,
scary part,
then you sit down all day. It's like, dude, people do not realize how fucking sedentary we are now, and we just don't have to, and it's just getting worse. So if you're not paying attention to this, it's only going to get more challenging for you as you continue to age, because not only you age, you slow down as it is, and you don't have the same energy levels you had when you were 15 years old. But then in addition to that, technology. I mean, we're now in this DoorDash generation. That didn't exist 5 years ago.
I know.
5 years ago, if I actually wanted...
You got to actually walk out to the car.
Yeah, if I wanted fast food, I had to at least get my lazy ass off the couch, walk to my car, drive to the drive-thru, and then go pick it up. I don't even got to fucking do that anymore. I literally could stay on my couch, and the furthest I got to go is to the door when the guy knocks on it, and it's already paid for. I don't even have to fucking get my lazy ass wallet out or nothing. That's crazy.
No, it's crazy. I wonder at what point, and I guess we would see this in the tech industry because they're the most competitive for employees, and you can see this. Like, tech companies have amazing gyms and they offer classes, and they're really trying to figure out ways to get people active. But I wonder when this is going to become like to the point where companies are going to give people treadmill desks and. Like, just because, the reason why I'm saying this is they'll save money on healthcare, but they should also notice improved productivity. Because
They just need scheduled breaks, like active breaks though.
Yeah, move.
Well, you see companies like Google and Facebook that have created these environments that or like when we were at Elon Musk's company is Solar City.
Oh, right.
All the desks were standing. So they're on the phone, but they're standing up the entire day. So I think that's really smart.
Yeah.
And they're like in these little circle, remember that? It was like, 4 or 5 people and then we got headphones on. There's like a little basketball hoop in there, big gong. There's so
you're more productive that way too.
Yeah.
It doesn't take away from your day. It actually adds to it.
Right.
Because when I'm doing this, I'll tell you what, when I did that all day workout, I was spitting out, programs and guides like nothing. When I'm just sitting at the desk and I couldn't come out because you guys were filming, I was just like, it was driving me crazy.
Yeah,
you're so much more productive. I mean, if you're listening right now and you're at a desk all day long, do an experiment and get yourself, I'd say every hour, let's just try every hour, get up and move for just 5 to 10 minutes. That's it. And then see at the end of the day if it actually, because you figure if you're there for 8 hours and you do 5 to 10 minutes every hour, that's anywhere between 40 to 80 minutes, but see if you make up for it with increased productivity. Yeah. My bet is
see if you get the same lulls. Like usually you're grabbing for like some kind of energy drink or something else to kind of get you through. I think it definitely you're not as sharp, like some midday sort of lull, right? So
my bet is that you're going to be more productive. That's what I think. I think you'll end up actually doing more work, and you'll find that you're trading. For every minute you plug in, that you're going to get a minute and a half in production, which is totally worth it.
I just did a YouTube video on Mind Pump TV and I recommended it in the video to get up every hour to 2 hours and do that zone 1 test. That's what I prescribe to clients. So there's something that I tell them to do because you're sitting at a desk and you're already in that rounded shoulder forward head position is you don't even have to exercise. Just get up, go to a wall and do some back presses against the wall and the zone 1 test on there. Do that fucking 5 times. Go back to your desk. Like that alone will make a big difference.
I've been doing that a lot with my dad. Like I've been, subtly training him a little bit, trying to like, make up for a lot of time, like where he's been, just being in bad posture, and that's really been helping the zone 1. But also the 90-90 has been huge for him.
Oh, really?
The next venture is nutrition, and like I've been planting seeds forever, dude.
That's a good one. That's so hard.
Ever. So. Like, I remember, I think I even told this story when I was at my house and I was drinking a big old cup of the green juice, and he was making fun of me. And I'm like, you're making fun of me? Like, I'm trying to be healthy and like, add more vegetables and greens in my diet. You're making fun of me. Like, you don't get it, And like, finally, like I was shamed him enough, Like, I'm just like, you're like a little kid. Like, I'm like, Dad, like, drink this. And he's like giving me the face with his nose. And he drank it down. He's like, oh. That's good. That's tasty.
Oh,
I'm
my
like,
God.
I told you. Yeah. And now he's like, yeah, I could drink that. No
problem. Does he like the way he feels afterwards?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I followed up with him later, and he's just like, oh yeah, like like his shits were a lot easier. I'm just like, yeah, of course. Like his idea of vegetables still is like celery, carrots, and iceberg lettuce.
Yeah, shits should not.
Are you kidding me? There's nothing in there.
Yeah,
water.
Shits should not be a struggle. You know what
right?
I mean? When people are like, "Wow, that was easy," I'm like, "What do you mean easy? How is it normally? You shouldn't be a battle every time you go to the bathroom. It should just happen."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like that's such the easy segue to get people like that are super stubborn to eat more vegetables.
Yeah. I'm still impressed with the green juice. I really am. Every time I
feel good every time.
I've had moments where it's been a while since I've had it, and then I'll reintroduce it because I'm like, oh, I'm aware that I didn't get a good day or two back to back of like getting any greens in or very many. And then I have it. I'm like, fuck, dude, I always feel good right afterwards.
Yeah, it really does.
No, it's a good one because it actually tastes good. Because I've had a lot of those things that taste like shit.
Yep.
But the hardest people to convince are your parents.
Oh,
by
100%.
Far. Like I've been talking to my parents about intermittent fasting forever.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little bit of blood sugar issues, a little bit of blood pressure. My dad just turned 60, and so I'm already, and I'm done. Trust me, I've done everything. I've like tried to like convince them the nice way. I've tried to convince them the bad way. I've tried to scare the shit out of them, which I did to my dad. He's sitting there and he just turned 60, and I'm like, well, according to life expectancy, you've got about 12 years left.
Yeah.
And he's like, whoa, don't say that. And I'm like, well, depends. If you take care of yourself, then anyway, doesn't work. So I send them a.
You're giving me nightmares,
bro. I'm gonna do the guilt next because that's my mom. She did the guilt on me. She's about to get it back. Yeah. So I send them a documentary on fasting. And I'm like, please watch this. And I don't remember how I sold it to them. I'm like, it's really cool. They show Italy or something. I made up some bullshit.
Am I a bad person because I've given
the
up?
same thing.
Yeah.
Am I a bad person because I just gave up? Just fuck it, dude. It's too much energy.
Yeah, no.
I feel like it's not going to be till the generation coming up, I feel like, is going to be much wiser to all this.
I think so.
Yeah, and you're going to see, figure your kids. They're going to have watched their dad, in his entire life, train well, eat well, pretty much, and then they're going to be able to look at not just, it doesn't matter if you live to 60, 90, or 110. It's more like the quality of your life. You're aging and you're still able and capable to do what you probably were able to do when you were 20 something years old, maybe even a teenager. And so I think they'll start connecting those dots. And now that we have video and pictures that are so real, right? Like you look at your parents and their parents, like photos and video, you can't fucking see anything. Now they're gonna be able to see that. They'll be able to go to your Instagram and look back, oh my god, look at my dad.
That's
my
terrifying.
dad's 40 years old. My dad's 40 years old and he has abs. How cool is that? You know what I'm saying? To be in that good of shape and look at him traveling and climbing and doing all this stuff.
I hope so, because it's crazy with this. We were just talking about lack of movement and this and that. It needs to start with the kids because, when you're a kid and you grow up and you don't move, you create these movement patterns and these imbalances that become almost impossible to correct.
It's like a lifelong battle after that.
Yeah, I mean, if you get really, really bad forward shoulder as a kid and then you become an adult and then you go see a trainer, there's a certain amount of it that's become almost permanent. I know I've worked with people like this, and I'll get them a lot better, but it's not the same as being able to mold and work with.
It's like what Brink would say with athletes. You don't try and change that because they've already
solidified it.
Yeah, so bad. It's you just fuck their skill up if you do that.
Because I'm training my son, which dude, I cannot tell you guys this enough.
So great.
My heart is so full. It's so,
and he's asking for it. And
into
it.
Yesterday he's like, hey, I want to work out today, okay? And I'm like, okay. And I try not to make a big deal about it because I don't want to.
Trying to get all excited.
I'm not all fuck
I have no problem.
Yeah, I'm always oh yeah, okay, if we have time. Yeah. So so later in the day I'm like, hey, you want to go work out? He's like, yeah, let's do it. And he turns off his computer right away, which was a good sign. I was like, oh, that's cool. Comes outside and we're training. And he's now I'm pointing things out to him. After a few sets, I'm like, look at your veins, they're starting to pop out. And he's like, oh. It's why does that happen? So I'm explaining blood flow, and I'm like, at some point you'll start to experience a pump, and I'm telling him this. And I can see him when he's working out. First off, it never ceases to amaze me how fast kids improve, especially teenagers, improve when they start working out. It's ridiculous. He had no control.
All new skill set.
He had no control over the bar and dumbbells. Now, his control is vastly still not great, vastly superior every single time I train him. I can also tell now he's trying to focus because I've explained to him how the body builds muscle. So now you can tell he's trying. And then in between sets, he'll have kind of this smile on his face because he's really starting to enjoy it. He's starting to get this kind of
oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And then the other thing we've been talking about, he's like, so what are the things that you do to build muscle? So I'm explaining muscle damage and how it sends a signal. And he goes, well, what about food? I said, well, you got to eat more food than you're burning. And he goes, well, what's the most important? I said, well, protein's really important, but so are carbohydrates and so are fats. So you want to kind of eat, everything. And you want to stick to whole natural foods, which is the ways we eat now. And I said, but you definitely want to make sure you're getting more calories than you're burning. Otherwise, you have no building blocks to build muscle. So now this morning, my son comes down for breakfast, and I bought this organic rice cereal that you could put with whole milk. So there's your carbs right there. So he's eating that, and I'm making bacon. And I'm like, I'm watching the media. I'm like, oh man, I forgot to tell you I was making bacon. He's like, I'll have some of that too. He's like, can I have a glass of milk too? I'm like, this kid's trying to, he's trying to feed himself.
A little bit of the bulk.
He's doing it on his
It's bulking season.
It's cracking me up,
Yeah.
I don't want him to go extreme like I did, but.
No, but it'd be cool to see if he actually puts some weight and size on, dude.
Did you get him start hulking out?
He weighed himself.
I was going to say, are you weighing him and stuff like that?
Yeah,
you should track.
he's already gained 3 pounds without lifting weight, just because he's 13 and he's growing.
Right.
So he's going to gain weight. And so then we were talking about that actually. And I said, the most muscle I ever gained was over a summer, and it was from my freshman to sophomore year. And I told him that. I said, look, you're young. Right now, you're just going to build a lot of strength. You'll build some muscle. I said, but don't expect to build tons of muscle because we got to get used to the weights and you're still young. I said, right around the age of...
it's that beautiful window, right?
Yes. And I told him, I said, right around 15, 16, then you're gonna hit a little bit of a growth spurt if we do everything right. And I said, and it was my summer after my freshman year, I said, I think I gained like 14 pounds of muscle.
Dude, it was my sophomore to junior year.
Yeah.
I remember it vividly.
Yeah, those are the years, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, he goes to me and he goes, well, what's that look like? Like, what does 14 pounds of muscle look like? I said, if you gained 14 pounds of muscle, I said, you'd be jacked. I said, you'd instantly be jacked.
Yeah.
And the look on his face was like, oh, I'd be jacked.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but it's so cool, you know what I mean? And my daughter is like begging to come work out. And so she'll come out and I'll have her do a couple things, but she's only 8. And this is me and my son's time. And I'm doing a little bit, and this is a little sneaky dad move. Yeah. I'm doing a little bit of the takeaway clothes from her. Just a little bit of the, no, you're not old enough. This is just me and your brother. That way she gets into it, later on.
Yeah, it's great, man. They bring that. Like, I've also noticed, like, so my youngest, he's been like, every time I come home, he's downstairs. I see him like doing pull-ups, on his own. Yeah, I swear to God. And it's just, it warms me up, man. I watched him actually wrestle his cousin, and his cousin is like jacked. He's this little like stud. I guarantee he's going to be like a superstar sports, athlete. And so I'm always like, his cousin. I'm always referencing his cousin because they play together and stuff. He's like an in between age between my oldest and youngest. And so we were over at my in-laws, and they were all together and we're hanging out as a family, and they just started having wrestle matches. And like, so my oldest and him are kind of wrestling, whatever. But I like this kid was always like throwing him around and stuff.
He's got the technique.
And now my youngest went and like took his legs out and like picked him up and like pile drived him and like was like hanging. It was like just as strong as him. I was like, yeah, that's what I like to see.
Bro, wrestling is such a great sport,
dude.
Such a great sport.
Yeah,
it gets you fit as hell, disciplined as fuck. And it's appropriate for all sizes because of weight classes. So it's not like football where if you're a small kid,
you get pummeled.
At some point, you're not going to be able to play football.
I hated football because I racist. I remember first day of practice, dude, just
getting lit up.
Oh, bro, I was like 98 pounds. You know what I'm saying? Like defensive end, just getting fucking hammered, dude, by some big tight end kid, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, my buddy was the one who convinced me to play. And I remember like, bro, this fucking sucks, dude. Like, this is all I do is get my ass handed to me all day long. And it's when you're that age, like weight really matters, dude. A kid that's got 20 pounds on you is like,
bro,
20, sure.
And if you're 98 pounds, 20 pounds is 20% bigger.
Yeah, that's a lot, dude. Like that's a lot. Like the kid just will whoop your ass, man. Like,
that's a big difference for adults.
I remember. I mean, it built character because I'm not a quitter and I'm somebody who's like, bust my ass to work towards something. So I remember just like every play, boom, on the ground, boom, on the ground, boom. I'm like, fuck, dude, just so angry, man. Yeah. Eating everything I can, doing all kinds of exercise, trying to put size on.
Yeah, see, wrestling's great. You would have been, I'm sure you would have been a killer.
That would have been way better.
You would have been a killer.
Yeah,
way better at wrestling.
Yeah, I bet you would have been a killer because your strengths are perfect.
It's another sport that I would say, this is what's cool about having parents like you guys who understand biomechanics, understand body types, understand these things that you can kind of like. I wish that I knew these things as a kid, or had parents that knew this to kind of guide me into like sport. Like I wish someone introduced to me swimming and wrestling as a kid, because both those things are things that I naturally were really good at later on in my life, just naturally. I mean, it makes sense when you look at my body type. I've got these really long limbs. I have long arms and long legs, which, later on, I remember being an older kid, like I would wrestle like 2 of my buddies at once. I had such long arms. If you came in close to me, I'd wrap you up. And I had a killer grip, so I could just hold on to you. And I could wrestle guys like that, and that was good for my weight. Same thing with swimming, but
wrestling's great. A crazy amount of discipline, fitness. And it makes you tough because. It's not it gives you some fighting skills. So if your kid ever needs to
your way out.
Well, if he ever needs to defend himself.
Let's be honest. It probably 80% or more of all fights end up on the ground.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And if you're a kid and it makes you confident because you're wrestling other kids, and if he ever has to defend himself, do you know how amazing it is to be able to take a kid down and hold him down and tell him
That's
give
how
up?
That's how most kid fights are.
Yeah.
I know.
Pushing, and then someone goes to the ground, and the kid who gets on top and then chokes the other kid or holds the other kid.
But there's weight classes, and then they learn technique. And so if you're I remember this shit. I remember one of our star wrestlers who was a 130-pound kid. He was a senior, 130-pound short kid. He got in a fight with a dude that was almost 200 pounds, and he put the guy put him on his back and got him down on the ground, held him down, and that was it, man. And it was, I mean, that's a lot of confidence, especially a 130-pound kid. You know, you're probably gonna get your ass kicked if you fight someone that big, but not when you know how to wrestle. So really, really cool, really good sport. Anyway, dude, are we getting the new modular? What are they? The Juve lights?
Oh, the ones that you can build. Those are coming. I
So
think.
how does that work? You can make your own shapes and shit, or make them as big as you want?
I'm not sure exactly how. I know that that's the idea, is that you can link them all together and make them how you want. But we haven't seen it yet. And I know they're supposed to. I know Taylor told me he's talking to Juve, and they're supposed to be sending over some for us to play with.
It says it lets you connect up to 6 Juves in a single system.
So this is like different, like square or rectangular panels.
Yeah, I think
panels,
so. Yeah, and then
that
you
fit
can
together.
And that's cool, because what you might want to do is build it so that it's like
It forms to whatever space you want to put it in,
or like surrounds you or whatever, so you can get in there and do that. Are you still using yours, Adam, on a regular basis?
I'm very consistent with it, and I've been kind of waiting to share with everybody, because this has been something that I've been doing for God, I don't know how many months now. And for me, it's been about 2 major things. One, getting my testosterone, and then my psoriasis. And I definitely see the psoriasis. Like, so when I'm good about it, when I'm consistent and I'm getting at least 3-4 days where I'm spending 10 to 15 minutes in front of it, it totally keeps my psoriasis suppressed and makes a big difference. The testosterone one is the one I'm really excited about. Now, I've taken the men's test. It's in the process right now. I should have it back in the next... Probably when this actually airs, I'll probably be getting it the next day or so.
See if
after
you got
that.
a little boost.
Yeah, so I feel like it. I feel better than I've felt in over almost a year now, or since I was on my hormone replacement. So I'm pretty excited. This has been one of the protocols, and I told the story. I don't know, maybe a month or 2 months ago, when you remember Metabolic Mike, who came in here. He was the one that made me really, like, I was using the Juve light, but I wasn't like being very consistent about it. And when he showed me his testosterone test before and after his protocol on the Juve, I was so blown. And he's somebody who I trust, like a trustworthy guy. He's putting out really good information, like smart dude. And he shared that with me, and then I was like, fuck, I'm for sure going to do this now. Because Ben Greenfield talks a lot about it, and kicking up your testosterone levels and putting your balls next to it, and but Ben does everything, and I'm just like, what, you know what I'm saying? I'm like,
how do you tease out all of it?
Yeah, right. I'm like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So when Mike told me that, I was like, okay, I'm sold now. Because he went from, like, I want to say it was,
he went up to 900.
Yeah, he went really high, dude.
Wow.
It was significant. It was literally like a 400 or 500 jump, dude. It was crazy. It was a lot. It was I'm
surprised how much science supports it. I was not aware of all the science that supports that.
Well,
that
you remember when
therapy.
you remember when we first interviewed the guys, we were really skeptical of the whole thing.
Yeah, I've done research since.
Yeah, well, even I remember they were telling me, like, off air, like how they were trying to get Mercola to back them forever, and like he was like giving them a really hard time for like a whole year. Like back and forth, emails challenging him on all the science, and then finally he became one of their biggest supporters. So.
Because he saw the science.
Yeah.
Well, when we had it here at the studio before Adam took it home, I used it every day for like a week, and I know that's not a long time, but you guys know me. I'm pretty sensitive. I can tell when something's happening, and I did feel it. Do you get a vascularizing effect from it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I felt. I felt like I'd get under it, and then I'd come out, and almost like I had like a little bit of a pump, which is kind of strange.
Yeah, it is strange.
So
Well, I get that from that and our red light or our infrared sauna. You get that, right? I think it's the heat that does that a lot.
but the red light, the Juve light's not really
Yeah,
It's
but
not
you-
that hot. Yeah.
It's not hot, but you feel warm from it.
Yeah.
Like, I
little
get
It does
warm.
penetrate deep. That's what it does.
I feel it warms my body.
Real
It definitely warms my body temperature up because it's one of my. I do it as soon as I get out of the shower. So it's like kind of my thing. Is as soon as I get out of the shower, I go sit on my bed. I sit on there naked. I roll right up to my bed, and then I just kind of sit there and I drop my head, so hoping that it'll help my regrowth on my hair.
Wow, look at the study that they quote here. This initial study in 1939. So they've been studying this for a long time. Meant 120% increase when the participants' chests were exposed to the light. 120% increase. Wow.
Increase in what?
Testosterone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's substantial.
No,
That's pretty crazy.
I'm telling you, dude, it was a big jump that he showed me. Oh, see, 200% when you
Expose it to the genital area.
So I'm doing it right
Oh,
then.
right on the balls.
I sit.
Then they
naked.
did a study on rats, and they found that they increased their testosterone levels as well. Wow, the rat one is in 2013. I mean, I've seen a lot of other studies, so it's definitely, it sounds.
Well, you know what was sketchy about these things? And I remember talking to the guy, is that because there's such great science behind it, because the technology is so awesome, you have a lot of knockoffs. So you have a lot of brands.
Very good point.
You have a lot of brands that are just fucking painting a red light bulb.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then saying it's red light therapy, and it's so cheap. You're like, oh shit, why would I go spend $300-500 on this Juve light when I can go get this light on Amazon for $50? And so what's happening is there's a lot of scammers that are putting out kind of garbage because of the great science that supports real
And they don't
infrared.
see any of the results and value, and they're like, this is bullshit.
Which that's what made me kind of skeptical, because I know some people that have had them and used them, and I've never heard or seen any difference about them before. And it wasn't until we met these guys did I really start diving into it and going like, oh
You
shit,
can't
actually,
cheap out.
Yeah, no, it's worth it.
Well, I like it because it's not like you're not taking pills or supplements or whatever. It's light that you get from the sun, just coming from concentrated in that form.
It kind of reminds me of in the kitchen where like the food waits. I kind of feel like fries sometimes. When I'm
Like a chicken.
that's just me. Yeah.
We got to oil you up. And, speaking of which, are we all supposed to like shave our bodies and tan and shit? For this photo thing.
You guys can do whatever you want, man.
I'm gonna do all that shit. Everything I can get.
What I'm hoping Doug's going to be able to. By the way, Doug, were you able to take a picture of yourself?
I did.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
good.
So what I'm hoping that we can do, this is what I'm thinking. So
'Cause the end of the contest
we
is
should
coming
talk
up here.
about this because it's coming up in a couple days when this gets released. So I'm thinking we go our before and after pictures right next to each other. Underneath that, we'll show people all the stats. Like, for example, my before, we'll show them
lean body
where,
mass,
where
fat
my
mass.
weight is, where my lean body mass, where my fat mass is, where my muscle, right, or all that is at, what my actual body fat percentage is, and then the after, all those same stats. And then we'll just let everybody, like on the forum and stuff like that, they can all do their own little vote.
We got to really post these photos?
No, we don't have to post it. We can post them on our forum. Yeah, we don't. I'm not going to post them on my regular Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, no. But we can
Give
share.
us longer. Give me longer.
Who
Yeah.
cares?
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm continuing on. This for me was.
Oh, I'm for sure gonna get. I'm having fun with it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a little interruption, but then I'll be back.
You're getting fat. Just say it.
Wait a minute.
I'm going back to the dark side.
What did you eat this weekend? Did you do good?
I did good. Yeah.
No
I did
pizza?
good. No, nothing.
Not a donut?
No.
Nothing like
Just
that?
meat. Just meat. Yeah. Went back to clean cold meat. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You got to be so tired of that shit.
It is.
I bet it was. Now, did you notice this? Because this would be interesting to hear. Is after you reintroduced and you had the pizza and the carbs, did you notice the cravings kick back up?
Yeah, I was hungry as hell.
Oh, I bet.
And I want to say I stopped. I did carbs like up till like Thursday of last week. So I was still eating a bit of carbs and then just cut that over the weekend. So, but yeah, I was like I was so hungry over the weekend. Oh my God.
Now, where's everybody at total weight wise? What do you guys like? Your total weight? How much is your weight down since the beginning?
Let's see. So
You were like 7 the last time.
I was
think.
230 something. So and I'm like 218 right now.
Jesus.
Oh wow.
But the thing is, I gained weight though. I went to 215, then I just gained like 3
Wow.
pounds as I was going through my carb.
That's a huge loss of
know.
hopefully body fat. It looks like body fat.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's fucking
So
huge.
good 15 pounds that you went down.
yeah.
Doug,
Yeah.
what'd you go down?
Yeah, 7 pounds.
You're 7.
Yeah.
Where are you?
But I had the most to lose. So.
Yeah, mine is going to vary between 4 to 8, depending on how depleted or how much carbs or whatever in me. So I'm not sure. Right now, I'm dipping below 190 when I'm eating very, very low carbs. And I think I weighed at the place, 195 or 6, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember what the weight was.
So you're only down about 5 pounds.
I am, and I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but I feel like I put lean body mass on at the same time. This last 6 weeks, my gut health has been so good. Why? Because I haven't eaten out at all, or mostly not at all.
Yeah.
And it makes a big difference. And when my gut feels healthy, I tend to put on muscle. So I'm hoping I put on lean body mass as well.
Well, I imagine you did.
I'm sure you did.
You've probably ramped up your trigger sessions. You've ramped up the volume because you're training these Saturdays. So, I mean, you're not in it sounds like you're not in a pure cut. Mm-mm. So I'm sure you did.
Yeah,
Anybody
we'll see.
start cardio?
So I did HIIT yesterday.
You did?
First day HIIT. Yep. First
How'd
day.
that go?
It was rough. But it was only 12 minutes, And that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up because I got a lot of DMs and now I can address this because I'm not going to fucking respond to all of them. It takes too long. So people were asking, like, they read the HIIT guide and everything that I did and they were responding like, oh, it says what not to do, but it doesn't say what to do. And what's your guys' protocol for HIIT? And when I do this, so this is my first one, and this will change as I get in better shape and better cardio shape throughout this week. So I did 12 minutes, and I went as hard as I could for a minute. So I went as hard as and I was on the elliptical was my.
And so it's 1 minute, and then
I just let my heart rate come down, and I timed it so I could share with people, but I'm not following a protocol like.
Oh, I see.
So it took about 90 seconds for my heart to settle all the way back down.
So you wait till it settles down, then you do it again, and however long that is.
Right, and for me right now, that's 90 seconds. Now, as I get in better cardio shape, that's probably going to be a minute, and then maybe even 45 seconds. And
this is the elliptical that you're using?
Yeah, I use elliptical just because my Achilles still is not. Yeah, I'm not all the way there yet. So
I've done a couple hits, but mainly what I'm doing is just walking. At night, I go for just a long walk, and
I'm planning on adding in some jump rope this week. So.
Oh, shit.
Well, I've scaled my steps every week over week. So I started with the target of like 8 to 10, and then 10 to 12, and 12 to 14, and then 14 to 16.
You're at over 15 right now?
Oh, I'm up to 18,000 steps.
Oh, wow,
now.
that's a lot of steps, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
So this whole week, the goal is for me to land between 18 to 20 with the HIIT in there. So if all goes well, I should be able to do that.
It is important to note that, though, not that you're doing this or anyone else, but this is an important thing to share on the show, is if you do have a date to get lean by or whatever, the last week before it is not the time to cram everything in. So I don't want to give that impression because a lot of people do that. They're like, I need to lose 20 pounds for, the beach, and then they'll go into it in the week of, they're like, I need to lose 10 more pounds. And they go insane.
I'm not eating anything and doing an insane amount of cardio.
Yeah, no, you want the bulk, the majority of everything you're going to do the previous, the week before. Or the weeks before.
Well, mine's been very methodical all the way through, right? Like I just said, it's.
But I want
going to 18,000 steps isn't a big deal because I was just at 14 to 16 last week.
Exactly. I just don't want people listening to think, oh, they're doing everything the last week.
Oh, yeah. No, I've just been really focused on activity and steps and just like not sitting at all. Like I've done like no sitting this entire 6 weeks, like just been active. So that's really helped. And I haven't done like any cardio. So
it's definitely, I've had to go out of my way because we are way more sedentary with what we do now than I ever have been. Like I'm just not trained. I don't train clients. I don't do anything that is.
That's why it's been so nice, because I felt that. Like I felt just like, I'm sitting. Then I'm sitting in my car driving home. I'm sitting, to get everywhere. It sucked.
Yeah, no, it's kept me like, I'm maintaining the house really well right now. So it's kind of like one of the things that I like about it is that when I have these step goals, it's real easy to justify getting up and going and sweeping or cleaning downstairs or carrying shit out. Like it's just, oh, fuck, I need my steps anyways. I wanted to knock this out. The house is messy. I'll do this, So that's kind of the cool part about when I do things like this where I'm actually tracking the steps is, it's really easy to come home from a long day of work and, justify I've had a busy day and I'm just going to sit down and veg for the rest of the day.
Exactly.
But
so different, man. Like, I repaired my roof, for the winter. I got all the gutters emptied out, all the leaves, like my whole property looks different. It's
awesome.
Like, dude, yeah.
Awesome.
This Quah is brought to you by Organifi.
For those days you fall short on getting your organic veggies or whole food nutrition, Organifi fills the gap with laboratory-tested certified organic superfoods to help give your health and performance the added edge. Try Organifi totally risk-free for 60 days by going to Organifi.com. That's ORGANIFI.com. And use the coupon code MINDPUMP for 20% off at checkout. Our first question is from 00 Silk Drop. Could someone who naturally does a lot of NEAT and averages 15 to 20,000 steps per day fall into the same trap as someone who does excessive amounts of cardio, such as having a hard time putting on muscle and losing fat?
So I've gotten a lot of questions like this over the last couple months where people are saying...
The answer is yes and no.
Yeah, exactly. Should I not move during the day because you guys talk so much about adapting your cardio? What I want to be very clear here is lots of activity. Let's just say for let's just play devil's advocate and let's say that it does, your body and your metabolism does adapt as a result. Does that mean you don't get any health benefits from that activity? No, you're still getting lots of health benefits from moving throughout the day. And part of those health benefits include a probably better hormone profile, better mobility, which then also contributes to better muscle mass. The difference with NEAT and cardio is NEAT is just your everyday movement, and it's a
lot more varied, right? You got like a lot of different movements you're incorporating. You're not just, droning in on one specific type of movement.
It's not super intense. And from a lifestyle perspective, it's far easier for me to get a client to implement 10 to 12,000 or 15,000 steps a day than to say do 45 minutes to an hour of cardio a day. Because when you do that cardio, it's a scheduled. Okay, I got to get into my workout clothes. I got to get on the machine and maybe I got to go to the gym to do it or schedule this time to do it. Whereas when they're paying attention throughout the whole day, they're just moving more. They're parking further. They're taking the stairs instead of the elevator. They're getting up from their desk and moving a little bit. And it's spread out throughout the entire day. And it's already worked into their lifestyle, which makes it a lot easier to stick to. The other thing I want to mention is they have done studies on cardio where they've compared where people will do all the cardio in one block versus groups where they take the cardio and they split that block up into 2 or 3 sessions. And the metabolic adaptations that occur from cardio seem to happen at a lower rate when people split it up. Now, this may be why bodybuilders have instinctively done cardio in the morning and again later in the day versus doing it all at once. Because this is typically what bodybuilders do, right? If they do an hour cardio day, typically a bodybuilder will say, well, I'll do 30 minutes in the morning and then 30 minutes post-workout. And there seems to be some science to support that spreading out of the activity. So NEAT it's naturally kind of like that, or at least it should be, in my opinion. So
yeah, well, I mean, she's asking too, like as far as putting on muscle too, how that can be challenging, and or losing fat for the 15 to 20,000 steps. So I think it can be. I also think that a lot of people that fall in this category where they move this much tend to have like a day or two where they don't quite move that much. And then they decide to add, some sort of cardio or something in their day, and then it still ends up averaging around the same amount. And so that's where I think there becomes this like, I don't understand. I'm doing cardio. I'm already doing all this stuff. Is that the reason why I'm not seeing results? But in reality, they're still just kind of averaging out what their body would normally move. So you can see a challenge there. The other challenge, putting muscle on when you're moving that much. Now, this is one of the challenges I dealt with when I was a trainer. Was I was burning like 5,000 calories a day. My steps were ridiculous. I was stepping 20,000 steps every single day because I'm training clients, one after another, after another, another. And then on top of that, I was trying to add muscle. And so I just couldn't get in the calories, consistently get the calories in. I mean, if I'm averaging a burn of 5,000 calories every day, I've got to be averaging 5,000 calories or more of food a day for the most part, right? So that can be really challenging for somebody who steps that much. So I get that part more.
Yeah.
So I get, it is tough to build muscle when you're somebody who has got a lot of activity because you probably have a pretty high calorie burn. And so you're trying to keep up with that calorie.
Now, would you worry about that with 10 to 15,000 steps? Would you worry? I mean, it sounds like a lot, but it really isn't a ton.
15 to 20, dude.
Yeah, 20 is a lot.
Yeah, 20,000 steps is a good amount of steps. I mean, that person's. I
mean, here's the thing. Like,
quite a bit.
Here's the thing. If you build a lot of muscle, people who carry a lot of muscle, that's not an adaptation that works well for lots of movement. It just isn't. That doesn't mean you're sedentary where you don't move at all, because that'll also make you lose muscle. But when you look at, like, if you ever, in an extreme case, right, you look at a bodybuilder, pro bodybuilder, that's an extreme case, of course. But when you look at pro bodybuilders, they don't move that much. They typically don't. It's exhausting. They're moving with a ton of muscle. They do really well when they lift weights, and that's pretty much it. But for the average person, 10,000, 12,000 steps is probably okay. I think Adam's probably right. 15 to 20 is quite a bit. And it may cause some issues with gaining muscle, but how much of an issue would it cause for you? I mean, I guess if you want to gain an extra 4 or 5 pounds of muscle, you might want to bring that down a little bit. But if you just want to be fit and healthy, that's probably a better balance, right? To have.
Well, no, I think it's the consuming enough calories. Just bottom line.
Yeah.
Like if you're, I mean, I know who this is, right? So we know who this person is. She's very lean. She's very active. She's working on her silks all day long, and she's probably training a ton of clients on the silks and doing things like that. So she's probably burning a significant amount of calories on a very regular basis. And I'm willing to bet that she's probably not somebody who eats 4, 5, 6 times a day, and is probably
has to intentionally schedule it, more frequently.
That's what I had to do. I mean, for me to build, so I was a tall, lanky, skinny guy who was lifting weights and training clients all day long. And in order for me to put size on, I had to eat 5,000 calories, roughly. I'm using that for, some days I could eat 4,000, some days I could eat 55, whatever, but in that range. And what I found when I really started tracking, I realized that I'd have a couple days where I do really good, and then I'd have a day or two where I just got busy. I didn't prep my meals that day, and so then all of a sudden it would be 3:00 in the afternoon, and I'd only consume 1,500 calories, and I'm like, fuck, I got to eat 4,000 more calories by tonight. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. So that it could be that she's just burning a lot of calories, and if she's trying to build muscle and she's struggling with that, I mean, it's probably because of that. And you have one or two choices. You can start to try and step less or move less, or you got to try and consume more calories. Now, I recommend when I have, quote unquote hard gainers, when you're going to maybe a long bout of movement, like you're going to train like I used to have these 4-hour blocks. So that normally I wouldn't train more than about 4 clients, although I did sometimes, but rarely train 4 in a row without at least a 15-minute or 30-minute break. I would make sure that I get a good high carb meal going in there, so my body has got all this glycogen to pull from and use, instead of me constantly tapping in and probably burning, and then my body losing body weight. So
I have an interesting story too on this, because I don't want us to push hard that cardio somehow makes you lose muscle. I think context matters quite a bit, because I've had clients, and I've experienced this personally, where they were so inactive that all they would do is lift weights with me once, between 2 to 3 days a week. Then the rest of the time they were so inactive that when I had them add a little bit of cardio, because it improved their health, they actually built more muscle and more strength. I experienced this myself because I used to go through these periods of bulking, and I was under the belief that I shouldn't burn any extra calories. And then when I started implementing more walking and cardio, because I noticed my cardiovascular shape wasn't good, I actually built a little bit more muscle.
I noticed that from fast twitch and plyometric type, movement specifically, that really did help me to build different, my mass changed. Like I could visibly see it in my body, because of that type of fast twitch movement, like what it did to my physique. So it's possible. I mean, it's definitely possible.
Well, I anticipate this week. So this is part of the strategy for me too, of incorporating this HIIT, is I know this will carry over into my training. I'm also going to be increasing my volume in my training right now. And it'll just, I don't have to go after it. It'll just naturally happen, because I'm going to increase my gas tank.
New stimulus.
And then I'll go into my weight training, and I'll be able
to push harder.
Yes, I'll be able to push harder with shorter rest periods, which will send a new signal and adaptation towards the muscle building side. So that's part of the strategy for me and how I do this. And this is exactly how I did in competing. Is once I started ramping up that HIIT, then I could increase that intensity inside the weight room too. So no, it absolutely has that carryover.
Next question is from Evolved Fitness. What different skill sets are necessary for online training versus in-person training?
How are people really doing online coaching for the most part? Because I know how I do it, but I don't think it's how most people do it.
And this has been a struggle because what I've noticed, the way that I've trained people is very much on like assessment, functional training, like less on the overall aesthetic and physique of like, manipulating with what you're eating and, weighing in and that type of stuff, which I've heard you guys talk about a lot, coaching people online. So yeah, I'm curious how people are going to handle that part of it other than like video type checkups.
Yeah, because coaching online is a lot of nutrition coaching.
Yeah,
mainly nutrition. It makes sense.
Yeah, there's way more training coaching when you're in person, in my experience, and way more nutrition coaching online just because, I'm not able to sit there and watch you work out and see what's happening in real time. They can send me videos and I can give you advice, but it's not the same as when you're training in person.
Right.
For that, I mean, the way I coach online is I'm in contact with people daily, and we talk about their workouts, the nutrition, advice, and I guide them along the way. When I train people in person, I didn't really text a lot with people. I would train them, we'd work out, I'd do their workout, they'd have a great workout, it was very appropriate, with the correctional component or the muscle building component or whatever. I'd tell them what to do, and then I wouldn't typically see them until the next session, and we may have one or two texts in between, but it's not the daily type of thing that you do with online coaching, at least in my experience.
Well, I have some cool stuff I can give you right now because I actually have somebody who I am helping in person right now. I'm actually done. I just finished the last time with her. And I actually virtually coached her first. So her first experience with me was virtually coaching. And then I've now coached her once a week into like training, just one-on-one. And I think they're two completely different monsters. And I provide totally different services on both of them. So when I'm coaching online, it's 100% all around macros. I mean, I make all clients that I would coach online, they all have MAPS programs, and you follow it. There's videos in there for you to do it. It is what it is. Like, I can't fucking virtually teach you how to feel things the way I need you as I could when I'm in person. So it really is just all nutritional coaching. And then when I'm in person, and she would be a really cool person to talk to about this type of a question because she's like really digging this, and she moved down to LA and she wants to fly up now once a week just so she can continue the one-on-one coaching because she's hitting all these crazy PRs now with me, and she's seeing things in her body. You saw Jessica the other day, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
She looks way different.
She's like blown away by what's happening from workout. And now there's two things that I told her. I said, one, when we first started training, I said, I'm going to be your pace car, so I'm going to dictate your intensity. Now, when I'm training someone in person, I can control this. I can push them. I could look at all their body signals. I could see the way she's breathing. I could see the way when she's struggling between sets. I know I can probably get a better idea of her perceived intensity than she can herself because I've been doing this for so long. So over the course of the last 3 months that we were working together, I would gradually increase her intensity, and I would be the one dictating that and controlling that week over week so she would continually progress. And probably the most beneficial thing was squatting and deadlifting. So that's where that was like the focus. Every time she came in and trained with me, like we didn't do bullshit fucking biceps and tricep exercises. Like that's not stuff that I'm really going to add value to her. I took all the mechanically challenging movements and I gave her where her money is best spent, I think, in my opinion, with myself, which is these crazy little detailed cues. So then I could take her and for her, like we were deadlifting. Now she's got a very, very slight, her foot pronates on her right side just a tiny bit and it runs all the way up and she feels it in her hip. Sometimes she feels it in her low back. None of that would I have been able to have figured out without seeing her in person and watching her move. So I picked it up before she noticed the side effects because just like in any client, they normally have, before the bell really goes off for them is when the pain or something feels weird and off. But I remember the very first day that we deadlifted and I was already critiquing, and then I would give her these things to do. Like, okay, I want you to, get the lacrosse ball out, you're going to roll your foot out, then you're going to hit your peroneals, then you hit your IT, and then I want you to do 90-90. And of course, just like every client does, when I give them a recommendation like this, they say yes, and then they don't go put the work in like they should. And then she'd come back and then she'd deadlift again, and I'm not seeing it improve. And she's getting this tightness that's getting worse and worse. And then finally it starts to really bother her, and then she finally starts to put the work in, and then she finally sees it pay off, and then she starts to see it carry over into strength, and then this whole thing clicks. Now, that was a progression of weeks and weeks of seeing me one-on-one, and that is something that I can't deliver to her. I couldn't deliver to her when I was coaching her. I coached her for almost a year virtually prior to that, and of course she's asked me questions about weight training, and I answer them as best as I can. But until I see that body move, I can't give her. And
it's way more of the training aspect in person. And I think it's way more the nutrition aspect online,
right?
Because I never coached my clients with nutrition this in depth. Right. As I do with online. I did help coach them, but it wasn't like I'm not texting them every day. What did you eat? Let's go through. There was a few, but not very often because they would pay me for the training.
I'm very skeptical to see if even technology can replicate that, because it's such a nuanced thing. Like being the trainers we are and the experience we have and the things we look for, there's so many variables with that, and everybody comes in with decades of movement patterns that are establishing these, solidified recruitment patterns that you really have to have a trained eye to discern.
You can't even when you do video, even if I notice an issue in a video, which I often do. Well, even when I do see the issue, how do you correct that? Okay, here's what I want you to do. Try doing this with your shoulder. You know how this is. You could tell a client, I want you to take your left shoulder.
They're not going to feel it because they don't have the feedback.
Yeah, another good example of this. So the last time I seen her, we were, she's gotten really good at deadlifting. By the way, she's pulling 300 pounds deadlifting for a chick, which is for a girl who never deadlifted before.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah, 300 pounds, dude. So when we start getting creeping up in her weight, like I also video her. So I can use that to kind of show her, and a common thing that would happen when we are doing really lightweight. So like 135 pound deadlift for her is really light. She's done that so many times now. She gets in there, mechanics look beautiful, and then as she starts to creep up towards her PR, the fear sets in. And so she would start to drop her hips too low to do it, and then her low back would give. Now, I can say that to her a million times, right? But I video it, I show her, and then I pause her in the middle of the lift and say, like, I'm right there to touch her as soon as she does it. And here's we talked about a question a while back, like when you touch clients. Here's where I touch a client.
Because you show them where to.
I slap her right on the side of the hip as soon as she does it. I'm sitting right next to her, and I'm like, now listen, let me show you what you're doing, and then the moment I see it, I'm going to let you know. So she gets all in her place, she gets ready to pull, and I see her hips drop. Whack! I hit her right on the side right there, and let her know you just did it right there. And then she gets it, and then we have to do that.
We're all guilty of that. Yeah, I mean, the most experienced lifter is guilty of that, and that's why you need a coach to identify some of the own patterns that they visibly see that you don't see it, because it's like we're just unaware, completely.
And getting clients is very different in person than online. I mean, when you get clients in person, you do use online things, services and social media, and that's one way. But you got to meet the people. You have to be in front of them, sit down with them, do an assessment. Online, it's all online. It's a totally different scaling process. It's a different way of building a clientele. It's a totally different monster.
Well, and I think it'll work, if you build up to that. If you establish a good foundation with your clients and you can, graduate towards that, that'll totally work on the training side. But I just don't.
Your marketing needs to be on point for online training. You can get away with it not being on point for in person, especially if you're working a gym and you can just go talk to people on the workout floor. But if it's all online, your social media needs to be on point. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to get clients.
I think they're both awesome, and I think there's a lot of value in both of them. I think they're extremely different, and my prices reflect that. I was charging, I started at $250. Obviously, when Mind Pump got to where it was at and everything, I was charging a lot more because of my time was limited, and for me to do that, it only made sense if it was more money. But originally, when I was online training, it was only $250 for a whole month, and you got this virtual coaching, and all I used to dive into is nutrition. So I think if I'm advising a trainer who's thinking about doing either or both, I would say, well, if you're going to be a very successful online trainer, then I would spend a majority of my time really understanding nutrition and everything about all the nuances of nutrition and understand diets really well and understand gut health and all these things, because the types of questions that you're going to be troubleshooting are those. Like a client's going to be messaging you saying like, oh, my gut, like I feel bloated, or I feel this. Like, well, you need to be able to look back at their diet the day before, what they consumed, and be able to troubleshoot that with them. Like, oh, wow, well, it looks like we had 4 ounces of cheese this day and you normally don't have that. Maybe you have some sort of an intolerance. So let's try eliminating that. So that's the type of conversations that you're having virtually when it's online training, is mostly geared around troubleshooting nutrition. And there's going to be a variance for every person that you coach. So you got to be really fucking well versed in that if you're going to be successful at it. So that's where I'm putting most of my energy and focus. Then if you're in person, I think the biggest bang for your buck in person is mechanics. Like, you got to be very mechanically sound, and the movements that are going to benefit you. Like, anybody can teach a basic standard bicep curl. It's pretty easy. It's the movements that are most challenging, the overhead presses, the deadlifts, the squatting, movements like that are where people are going to break down. You've got to be able to see that and see where, normal common imbalances are, and then address it. Like, I don't know how many times I've done this where I teach a squat. The squat looks pretty good. The client gets up and they go, I feel it all in my quads. I don't feel anything in my butt. And then literally from right there, we stop squatting. I walk over.
I do priming the glutes.
Right. Then I start do some movements to prime their glutes and then get them to really, okay, you feel that? Okay, let's do 10, 15 of those.
You can't do that online.
Right. You can't do that. And then I walk them over and then they do it. And then all of a sudden that connection happens right there. Like, that's impossible to do that or give that virtually. So, and that's also why you charge significantly higher for that in person, because those things are intangible.
Next question is from Kelzar the Magnificent.
Kelzar!
What are your thoughts on YouTube fitness brands such as Kinobody that push intermittent fasting as their main selling point for fat loss and literally write it into their program?
You see Lane talking shit on our page on that?
No, did he? What did he say?
I'm laughing at
Yeah,
that.
he's just laughing at him because, do you guys look at this guy's stuff very much or no?
Yeah.
I've probably seen the same videos over and over. It's just like this over the top, like drone shot, his mansion, whatever, like, and then him working out and doing like bicep curls and bench.
You got to
with
be
his shirt
awesome
off.
and be awesome.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
Does anybody know his backstory on?
No, I think I think his programs.
You certainly
are okay.
didn't get. You certainly didn't get that rich being a fitness guy. I'll tell you that right now.
No. Well, maybe
there's not money
he sells
like that.
shit online and stuff like that. I don't think so.
No, fuck no, bro. It's not, fuck no.
I'm gonna have to say fuck no.
Yeah.
He's got. How big is his channel? He's got a massive channel. He might have.
No. I mean, I'm not saying,
now, yeah.
No, I'm not saying he's not making. But that house is a big fucking house that he's the toys that he had. The kids either won trust fund or he made money doing something else before.
Yeah.
And that's not to say he's not making great money now. I'm sure he's making great money now.
He's got a pretty big.
But that's
name.
his whole brand is to look like he's like super, flossy from the get go.
Yeah. He calls himself the real Bruce Wayne.
No way.
Yes, dude.
Really?
Yes,
Oh my
that's
God.
self-proclaimed.
The egos in fitness are insane.
So great.
I mean, it's brilliant. Okay, but it depends, right? Depends on what you're going after. I don't think it's that brilliant because if you were to let's
it's the douchebag model.
Let's unpack. Well, I was going to be that mean.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and be that mean.
Here's okay. And this is a critique that I have on some of these fitness guys like this. They are chasing the likes and the subscribers so much that they don't think about who they're appealing to as much. And I guarantee you, if I were to get back and look at all his numbers, I guarantee his conversion rates do not even come close to somebody else that's probably appealing to a different demographic. The number one, I guarantee his group is 15 to 25 years old is the highest amount of traffic that he's seeing. It's also the brokest traffic. So the people that are converting from that are viewing, so kids see like subscribers and like, oh my God, he's got 1 million views. Oh, he has all this stuff like that. Well, that's great. You know how many people I meet that have 1 million views and they don't make hardly any money because they're attracting these young boys. I would be so into that. If I was 17 years old, right when I got into lifting, and I came across Kinobody, 100% he's the kid I probably would like, because I wanted to have the big house and the cool cars and the long hair, that especially for me now.
Still want that.
So desirable.
I mean, that stuff would totally appeal to me, but I was also 17 and I was broke, so I couldn't afford all of his programming or spending a lot of money. So,
well, he's one of the bigger names in I guess the fitness space or the YouTube fitness space, and I haven't looked at a lot of his stuff, but If he's pushing fasting as a way to lose fat, I disagree with that. I don't think not eating is a strategy to lose weight or go for long periods without eating. I'm not saying fasting is not good. I'm the biggest proponent of fasting, but I don't
just
like
the mentality.
I do not like pushing fasting as a weight loss tool because that is a road to eating disorderville.
He's only got 400,000 subscribers, bro. That ain't shit.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Come on.
Yeah.
No,
The whole
he's not
yeah
making that much money.
Yeah, no,
weak sauce.
no. Pushing fasting to lose fat is a road to eating disorders. It's a road to having a bad relationship to food. This was what I coached. Look, when I first became a trainer and I started figuring things out, I had to work a lot on this with clients because a lot of people back in the day, people come to me, never ate breakfast. I never eat lunch. Yeah. So I have to work with them on how to incorporate meals. And fasting is healthy. It's good for you when you do it appropriately. When you do it inappropriately, you're just using it as a tool to mess with yourself like you would with any other tool that you have a bad relationship with. Or it's important to know, if you fast too consistently all the time, it's not very good for your hormone profile, and it becomes a stress on the body.
I feel like I went through that. I mean, it was one of those things that's convenient because you can kind of manage your weight by eliminating certain meals out throughout your day, but inevitably your body's going to adapt to that. And now, going forward, you need to reintroduce food. You need to up, your calories in order to break that up and make sure that your metabolism is healthy.
The hormone effects from too much fasting women are more sensitive to it. And so I've had lots of messages like this over the years now where, women will say, well, I fast every single day and now I'm starting to get these following symptoms. And a lot of them are symptoms
hair
of
loss.
Hormone imbalances. And, sometimes if I recommend to them and I'll say to them, look, I'm not a doctor, but here's what I would suggest in this case, stop fasting and see if anything changes for you. And in many cases, it does. Too much fasting for men will even lower testosterone, and fasting raises cortisol. Yeah. One of the reasons why you have energy when you fast is because your cortisol goes up. Cortisol gives you energy. Okay. So it's the hormone that spikes in the morning to wake you up. It's actually a feel-good hormone. The reason why it goes up when you're stressed is it's trying to mobilize energy in case something, happens. Now, too much exposure to cortisol, not a good thing. If you have lots of stress, you're working out like crazy, and you fast all the time, might not be a good idea to do that on a consistent basis, especially if you're using it solely for the fat loss effects. My opinion today is different than it was when I first discovered the benefits of fasting. When I first discovered it, I thought intermittent fasting was the greatest thing ever. Mm-hmm. Now I think more sporadic, longer fasts are probably better. I don't think this daily, every single day, especially to use. And by the way, we've never recommended fasting for weight loss. I mean, they used to call that just not eating.
I've been on this. I've been in the same place with it since the day we even wrote the guide, and even before that. It directly conflicts with my philosophy on how I teach 99% of all my clients when I first would get them. Because rarely ever did I ever meet somebody and say, hey, track your food for a week, and then I get it, and they're hitting all their nutritional targets, and all they're doing is over-consuming. That rarely ever happens. It never happens. Most people are doing this starve, overfeed type of mentality where they don't give their body the nutrients they need, and then they over-consume the bullshit that they don't need. So taking somebody from that place and then just telling them to starve more or more often, or
their cravings are going to increase.
It's just not a smart strategy. I've always said it I've looked at fasting as an advanced way of dieting, and I do teach it, but it's down the road. It's way after I've been coaching you for months. And I've been trying to get you to understand the benefits of all the different macronutrients and what your body needs and the possible intolerances that you might have going on. Once I get you kind of honed in on all of that stuff, and you have a real good understanding of nutrition, and you've been consistent eating what your body needs for what you're doing, then I can show you how to intermittently fast every once in a while. And I've never, ever promoted I've never had a single client that I've ever encouraged to fast daily. I just think that's silly. I've personally messed with that before. I've seen it. I think that your body gets so used to that the benefits that everybody talks about, those are all from short studies. So it's like, yeah, if you take somebody who's never fasted before, then all of a sudden they intermittent fast every single day, you do a short 3-month study on that person, I bet you can see all kinds of health markers. Extend that study for 6 months, a year, 2 years, and I bet their body's adapted so much to that they're not seeing any of the health benefits anymore. That's my theory on fasting like that. So like when Sal started doing the fast for 2 or 3 days, one time a month, I think that's brilliant, especially for somebody who consistently eats and feeds his body correctly. What a great way to intermittently interrupt that process by restricting from food for a day to 3 days.
Well, this is the thing. Like the reason why I would even promote fasting in the first place is not for weight loss. If any weight loss happens from fasting, that's kind of a side effect. The things that I recommend fasting for are, cell autophagy, right? The cleaning out of bad material in your body, the programmed cell death, the stimulating of stem cells, so that when you do refeed,
food relationship,
you build up new, your immune system comes back and it comes back
you resensitize
stronger,
to all these nutrients.
Resensitize your body to insulin and sugar. Food relationship. When you go without food for 3 days, you really learn how to deal with your stress and your anxiety without having to feed yourself. You relearn what hunger feels like. There's a spiritual component. There really is, because I don't care who you are, food does act like a drug in some ways. And when you go without it, there's some growth that tends to happen. Those are the reasons why I recommend fasting. And you get better results from that from doing a kind of a longer fast.
So
like
I think the guys that are out there promoting it as a fat loss tool is whack. That's what I think.
Yeah, I don't
straight
think
up. If he's promoting it,
of course they're gonna do this because everything's
we
aesthetic
called
based.
that though at the very beginning. I mean, when we talked about intermittent, I mean, go all the way back to like I don't know where we first started.
Episode 4, probably.
Yeah, one of the first episodes when we first ever mentioned it. I remember us, telling people this is not something that everybody should be doing. You most certainly should not be doing it as a fat loss tool. It should not be used that way. It should be just a nice side effect that happens when you intermittently introduce it every once in a while. What's happening and what we knew would happen is because of all the good science that supports it, people again will take it to an extreme, and now you got these people that are marketing it. And a lot of these people that are doing it, they're following it and they're seeing great results. Of course, you don't eat for that many hours every single day. You eventually will lose weight.
Cut your calories.
Yeah, but how many people, will maintain that? And even if you do maintain that, now a lot of the health benefits, I'm sure, are starting to diminish because you've been doing it consistently for so long.
Next question is from Cam Melvin. I've been doing CrossFit for about 7 years. It's been hard for the past several years for me to keep the physique that I want. I look fit, but would definitely like to be leaner. I'm starting to think that I have been doing high-intensity training for years and my metabolism has adapted. Over the summer, I have been mixing it up and doing MAPS aesthetics some days instead of CrossFit. I really enjoy CrossFit and I'm not going to quit it, but was wondering the best formula to combine a MAPS program and CrossFit to be able to maintain a leaner physique and help my metabolism rev up.
So I'm gonna tease you a little bit, Cam, for this because it's like, you've been doing CrossFit, and then your answer to this plateau is to throw more at it.
Yeah.
Probably not going to help.
No, I don't think. I'm
going to calm down.
And I'm sure I'll piss some people off, but for an aesthetic look, for lean and muscle and shape and all that stuff, CrossFit's not the best way to get there. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to improve the way you look if you weren't working out before and you did CrossFit. You will. They incorporate some of the best exercises. There's lots of intensity. All that
Maybe
stuff.
the initial shock of it. Right?
But it's not the best way if you're aesthetically driven. CrossFit training is really good to get you good at CrossFit. So to be clear, like what is CrossFit? What is CrossFit? It's being able to do these workouts in under time. It's be able to do specific combination of workouts, sometimes modeled after the games, sometimes modeled after whatever the gym instructor puts together. But it's going to make you better at CrossFit, and you're going to get a combination of things: endurance, stamina, strength. Those all kind of a mix.
It's punishment. Like people love punishment. And like, I get it. Like, again, I'm going to keep kind of voicing this to athletes and people that are in this space and this mentality. It's addictive. We love that shit. I like to like leave a workout like I just hammered my body and I'm sweaty and sore, and it's fucking addictive. You need to break out of that addiction.
Yeah.
You understand what it feels like to be more mentally disciplined.
Yeah. Well, if he steps out of it, if you got out of CrossFit.
I think it's a she.
Or she. If you got out of CrossFit and you did a MAPS program or another
That's all you should do.
well-planned program. Just do that.
Yeah.
Give it 3 to 4 months. Will you lose performance in CrossFit? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to be clear here. If you followed a program like MAPS Aesthetic or MAPS Anabolic, which are more of the aesthetic-based programs, you will go. If you did go back to CrossFit after 3 months, you'll be stronger on some lifts for sure, but you're going to lose some performance. But you're going to get leaner and build more muscle. Now, if you want to do the best of both worlds, I would say stop CrossFit, do MAPS Performance. You'll still build more muscle, still get a little leaner. You'll go back to CrossFit, and you probably won't lose that much, if anything at all.
Here's the thing. Why not take a 1-year hiatus? Go back in a year. You know, why not? You're trying to do two things that are conflicting. It's like, why? It's the same topic that I had with Katrina with these Spartan races. It's like, you can't beat yourself up, you know, hun, for not wanting to or not building the body that you love or you dream to have while you're also chasing after a Spartan race. They're conflicting goals. Does it mean that you can't run a Spartan race and look awesome? Like, my girl looks great still, and she's still got a great body fat percentage. But I'll tell you right now, her body has changed. Just in this last 3 months, she does not look like the same body that she had just 6 months to a year ago. That's because I had her completely bodybuilding for the last 2-3 years leading up to that. And so her shape has changed. Now her body fat percentage on the machine looks awesome. It looks just as good. So she's low body fat percentage, but the shape of her body, the way that she wants to look, is changing. And it's like, well, there's going to be a give somewhere. So if you're going to CrossFit, you're not going to probably be the most aesthetic way, not the most aesthetic version of yourself. Can you get aesthetic? Can you be lean? Can you look good? Yeah, sure you can, but you're not going to be the best version of yourself that way unless you train for the best way to train to look that way, which would be a more bodybuilding style of a routine. So, you know, adding more to what you're already doing is not going to do that.
And if Cam is done this for 7 years and is saying, I would like to be leaner, I'm assuming she's tried things with her diet, because that would be the first place, right? Okay, well, look at your diet, whatever. I'm assuming she's tried and she's struggling. And if she's been doing that hardcore intensity type workout consistently for that long, and she's finding now her body's just holding on to stubborn body fat, you could be causing some issues. You definitely could be causing some issues
100%.
with your body.
I mean, you're right. That would be the first thing. If you want to continue your CrossFit, don't add MAPS Aesthetic. Just change your diet. Just get into a lower.
But if she's already tried,
right? Well, I would say lower your calories. Lower your calories by 200 calories a day, and you should lean out even more. But what I don't know is, are you already at 1,500 or 1,800 calories for a person who's doing CrossFit 4 or 5 days a week? That's pretty fucking low. And 200 calories less is not a place where you probably want to be. It means you've slowed your metabolism down. So spend a year of revving your metabolism back up and do a bodybuilding type routine, feed your body, build some muscle, lose a little bit of endurance. You can get that back fucking so quick. By the way, people don't realize this. I mean, I'll change my cardio endurance this week.
Endurance adaptations, you gain them and lose it fast.
Super fast.
Yeah, it comes and goes quick.
Yeah, so I mean, this is why, for people that don't know this is why this has been going on for forever, for as long as I know. You know, every sport does this: basketball, football, baseball. Everybody knows what happens when you get back in school. You got 1 week. 1 week, and the coaches do what they call hell week. And some football does it double days. Basketball, all we did was run lines and burp or fucking, gut busters or whatever you want to call them. And you run your ass off for 1 week, and you're already in condition. Like, you can get in your endurance back. Don't worry.
Yeah. That's I used to tell that to clients all the time. The wonderful thing about strength is, well, the bad part about strength is it takes a while to build it, but it actually sticks with you for a little while. Endurance, you gain quickly, you lose that shit quickly. Yeah. Like, if you did endurance training this week and you took next week off, it'd be the following week you'd be back to
absolutely.
Now with strength training, sometimes I could take a week or two off and come back and be stronger. With when it comes to strength.
I just someone like this, I'm sure 7 years of doing this, you're probably in the same box. You've probably built some really strong relationships. There's probably a lot of camaraderie.
There's a lot tied into it.
Yeah, so I get it, man. I totally understand it, but I mean, Jesus,
change is hard. You want to change, you gotta change.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, if this was a client of mine and they were coming to me saying this, I'd be like, well, what's more important to you? If the community and the workout is more important, well, then keep doing it. But if your abs are more important and that's what you want, well, then you're doing the wrong things. It's that simple. It's just like it doesn't need to be this, like, how do I figure this out? It's like you want your cake and eat it too.
Yeah,
like,
it's always like, how can I still incorporate it?
Yeah, it's like, what's more important to you?
No.
And there's nothing wrong with saying that. I love to go to my CrossFit box. I love to train that way. I love the people I work out with. You're not going to get me to change it. Then I say, okay, to enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with that.
You know what this reminds me of? I used to get, before CrossFit existed, you would have people that would just do super high intensity circuits and stuff, right?
Right.
And I would get clients like this every once in a while. And it was more often than not, it was women. And they would come to me and they would tell me, okay, I need to hire you. I want to get shredded. I want to get lean. And I'd be like, okay, what is your workout history? And they're like, oh, I work out and I do boot camp classes or circuit training 4 or 5 days a week. And I've been doing it for the last 3 years. And these women, I could just see that they were just holding on to stubborn body fat, because I would look at their diets. Their diets wouldn't really be terrible most of the time. And you'd see them work out and they were fit and they'd have stamina and whatever, but they'd still have this like 28% body fat percentage. And every single time I tell them, look, you need to back way the fuck off that type of training. Start working out with me. It's going to take us about 3 months to start to reverse things. And inevitably they'd trip themselves out and they'd be like, whoa, I'm way leaner, way more muscular.
It's the same. It's
just beating yourself up too much.
It's the same thing I've been dealing with all my runner addicts forever. I mean, it's the same conversation. I mean, I don't know how many people I've trained. Before CrossFit existed, I trained hundreds and hundreds of marathon runners and people that love to run. And that's what they would say to me. Like, I love to run, Adam. I love to run, but I just can't seem to get leaner. I just can't seem to build this body that I want. Well, fuck, you're running 5 to 7 days a week. Like, stop. That's not what if you want to be really good at running, you're doing a great job. Keep doing it. If you love it so much that it's more important to you than the way you look, then you already have the answer. You're already doing a great job. Enjoy it. But if you come to me as a professional and you say, hey, Adam, I want this, and I tell you that the way you're going about it is all wrong and is not the best way to do that, and your only answer is, well, what about so-and-so who, some famous chick in CrossFit who looks the way you want? Well, she's fucking not you. She's a different body type. I don't know where her diet's at. I don't know what she's taking hormone-wise.
The gray market peptides.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck she's doing. I'm telling you right now that if you're doing all this endurance-type training and you're wanting to shape and change the body differently, it's a conflicting message. And who knows how much damage you've done that you got to reverse that, because I'll tell you right now, I don't know your size, but if you're an average weight for female where you're somewhere between the 120 to 160-ish range or 170 range female body, and you're eating sub 2,000 calories every day.
And you're doing this workout.
And you're doing all this stuff like that. You fucking have slowed your metabolism way down.
Take a few months off, do some real good traditional strength training. MAPS Aesthetic or MAPS Anabolic would probably actually be more appropriate.
And I'll tell you what, on that note, the girl that, because again, you get what about so-and-so, who's, I bet you money, the ones that look really aesthetic at the highest level CrossFit, those girls are eating.
Yeah.
I promise you, if they have an aesthetic looking physique.
And they're making out with their boyfriend taking stuff. That's what they're doing.
That's absolutely. Right. Look, MAPS Performance is 50% off.
3 days left.
Only 3 days left. Go to mindpumpmedia.com. Enter the code GREEN50, GREEN, the number 50, to get 50% off. Again, it's at mindpumpmedia.com.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.